This meeting of the Senate Judiciary Committee will come to order. Before I turn to the agenda, I want to note for the record that we've moved the Department of Homeland Security oversight hearing that was originally scheduled for today to November 16th. The reason, Secretary Mayorkas tested positive for COVID. The Secretary was willing to appear remotely today, but we discussed it with the Republican side, and at their request, we postponed the hearing until a date when he can appear in person. We have 2 nominees and 1 bipartisan bill ready for a vote. We also have 6 nominees and another bipartisan bill listed for the first time, which will be held over, and they include Lucy Coe to the 9th Circuit, Jane Beckering, Western District of Michigan, Shalina Kumar, Eastern District of Michigan, Armando Bonilla to the Court of Federal Claims, Carolyn Lerner to the Court of Federal Claims, Jonathan Cantor to the DOJ's Antitrust Division, and S998, the Driving for Opportunity Act of 2021. That bill was introduced by Senators Coons and Wicker and has a number of committee co-sponsors, including myself, Senator Grassley, Senator Blumenthal, Tillis, Booker, and Whitehouse. We will also hold over for another week S2428, the Bipartisan False Claims Amendment Act of 2021, at the request of the bill's sponsors, in order to allow committee members additional time to consider a manager's amendment. I look forward to considering these nominations and bills next week. Let me speak to the 2 nominees before us. We'll be voting on Justice Beth Robinson, nominated to the 2nd Circuit Court of Appeals. An experienced litigator, respected jurist, she's proven that she has an even-handed approach. Justice Robinson's credentials are impeccable: Dartmouth College, the University of Chicago Law School, and clerk for Judge David Sentell on the D.C. Circuit. As a practitioner, she specialized in civil litigation and a concentration on workers' comp. She also maintained a large practice representing LGBTQ clients in civil rights and family law. She was a champion for same-sex couples' freedom to marry and played an instrumental role in a successful lawsuit challenging Vermont's ban on same-sex marriage. In private practice, she dedicated herself to a worthy cause, but since she's been appointed to the bench, she's proven she understands the difference between being an advocate and being a judge. In 10 years on the bench, she's participated in nearly 1,800 decisions. Her colleagues on the Vermont Supreme Court wrote to this committee to emphasize that she has qualities of intellect, judgment, and sound reasoning. A former colleague further stated that she was, quote, always open and equally challenging to opposing arguments from litigants, and, quote, fair, unbiased, and congenial. Unfortunately, some members of the committee suggested that Judge Robinson is somehow biased and hostile to religious liberty. Look at the evidence shows that that clearly is not the case. Consider these facts. In private practice, she represented a Catholic woman who believed she'd been discriminated against because of her faith. As an advocate, Robinson stated, and I quote, if somebody tried to force the Catholic Church to do a gay wedding, I'd represent the church pro bono, end of quote. And as a judge, she held in favor of a municipality that decided to grant federally derived funds to a local church. So these attacks were both unfair and at odds with reality. Justice Robinson enjoys the strong support of her home state senators, Leahy and Sanders, and a unanimous, well-qualified rating from the ABA. Independent-minded, highly qualified, she will be a real addition to the 2nd Circuit. I look forward to supporting her. We will also vote on Jennifer Sung's nomination to the 9th Circuit, a distinguished juror who brings an underrepresented perspective to the bench. After clerking for Judge Betty Benz Fletcher on the 9th, she served as a prestigious Skadden Fellow. Ms. Sung spent over a decade representing employees and unions and labor disputes. Given her expertise in that area, Oregon Governor Kate Brown appointed her to serve on the Oregon Employment Relations Board, a quasi-judicial agency charged with resolving labor disputes. Unfortunately, some of my colleagues have launched attacks on Ms. Sung, which I would like to address directly. Some have implied that Ms. Sung lacks proper judicial temperament because she signed on to one letter expressing concern over then Justice Kavanaugh's nomination to the Supreme Court. Those of us in public life who have been less than perfect in our choice of words or uttered a belief which we later came to regret should be willing to consider giving someone a break. And Ms. Sung has stated clearly under oath repeatedly, she was asked, I can't tell you how many times about this one letter, that she recognized that those statements made in the letter were overheated. She testified that she has immense respect for the authority of all Supreme Court justices and that she recognizes the importance of faithfully following the law and precedent. Furthermore, as Ms. Sung stated in her responses to questions for record, the best evidence the kind of judge she would be is her extensive track record as a neutral adjudicator on the ERB, and we should consider that record. One of her fellow board members attested to Ms. Sung's, quote, judicial temperament, demeanor that allows all parties to understand their concerns will be heard and fairly evaluated. And listen to what lawyers who represent employees, unions, and employers have said about her in a letter that they submitted to this committee. She has, quote, impressive intelligence, diligent preparation, respectful courtroom demeanor, and judicial impartiality. It appears that some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have forgotten when some of their nominees could not pass the one-letter test and were approved by them. I think we should all take to heart that each one of us in public life has at least the possibility of saying something that we later regret. I also want to address claims that she doesn't have enough experience, despite the fact she practiced law for over a decade and served in a quasi-judicial function for almost 5 years. If that sounds familiar, it's because of what circuit court judges do. It also appears that some of my colleagues want to apply a litmus test, and I would remind them that nominees like Trump D.C. Circuit nominee Naomi Rao had no experience practicing even before a court or agency. What's more, Ms. Rao, when asked on the committee questionnaire to list her 10 most important litigated matters, she could only come up with 3. Yes, yet all the committee Republicans supported her. Another Trump nominee, Justin Walker, had never served as sole or lead counsel in any trial, yet all the Republicans supported his nomination to a district court and again to the D.C. Circuit. Let me say a word about demand justice. It's been brought up many times by the other side of the aisle. I want to reiterate again the judicial selection process is being driven by President Biden and the members of the Senate, no one else. To my knowledge, demand justice has no role in choosing judicial nominees. Do you recall the role of the Federalist Society under the previous president? Then candidate Trump stated in a June 2016 radio interview, we're going to have great judges, conservatives, all picked by the Federalist Society. And then White House counsel Don McGahn boasted in 2017 about the prominence of that group in the selection of judges. It's ironic that those who supported the Federalist Society in selecting judges are now shocked, genuinely shocked, at the much lesser role of demand justice. Ms. Sung has the strong support of Senators Merkley and Wyden, well-qualified rating from the ABA. She'll bring much-needed demographic and professional diversity. In addition, we have one bipartisan bill. The bill is S-2429, the Administrative False Claims Act of 2021, introduced by Ranking Member Grassley and myself, co-sponsored by Senators Hassan, Lankford, Portman. I'll speak more about this bill when we turn to it, and with that, I turn to my Ranking Member, Senator Grassley.
Okay,